sounded like an eagle. Here?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Silvio's phone. That's that phone ring. I've been in the industry over 30 years. I've been in the ingredient business for 24 years. And I've put a lot of product into the market through a lot of different companies. I've been a lecturer, I'm a researcher, I've got a lot of published papers. I've got about 45 papers published in the medical and scientific literature. In PubMed, you can find it if you go into PubMed. If anybody has a motivation to do so, you can put in Downs, space B. I go by Bill from William, but my real name is Bernard William Downs. So, yeah, it's a tough one. You have to have a sinus condition to say Bernard properly. So anyway, when I started doing research, my prime directive, my passion, my mission, my obsession was trying to discover what causes disease. It vexed me deeply that people got sick. And I had a previous experience when I was a teenager with the supplement. I was coming down with the flu, and a lady friend, actually a pastor's wife, had me take some pills. And she said to me, I stood at her front door, she said, well, you're not coming in here, but here, take these pills. And I took the pills, and she said, go home and go to sleep. So I drove home. I slept for about 2 hours. I woke up, the sheets were wet, I had sweated, I felt like $1 million. I drove right back to her house and I said, what was that you gave me? And she said they were citrus bioflavonoids. And that began my intense fascination with how nutrition can change your health. And so years later, I was an elite athlete, and I had gotten involved in a cancer research project. And in that project, I was actually involved in creating a leg of the study that was evaluating the effect of nutrition on chemotherapy patients. And at the end of the study, they found, the results were that healthy blood donors, providing white cells for chemotherapy patients, gave dramatically improved benefits to terminal cancer patients receiving chemotherapy. And the doctor destroyed the data. And that crushed me. And the study was published in 1984 in the Journal of Oncology, and all of the results, all the beneficial effects of the study were attributed to methotrexate. I have a history of methotrexate. And that compelled me to go, bad phone. That compelled me to go into research, to try and fix problems by understanding what caused them. Because if you can't correctly define the problem, you will never ever find the solution. Okay? And generally, with all due respect to any medical professionals in here, medicine doesn't really try and get to the solution. It tries to manage symptoms to improve comfort levels and tolerability of the disease process. It tries to stop the inflammatory process, or it's health management by the numbers. So I got into the ingredient business, and I began studying ingredients. And one of the ingredients I began to research initially was chromium, and how it influenced blood sugar, and how diabetes was caused, and down that rabbit hole. And I began to look at alkalization, researching that. There's so much misinformation about alkalinity, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. But when I got into the industry professionally in 1985, the entire industry was doing $4 billion a year. That's dietary supplements and organic foods. $4 billion a year. This year, it is right in fingertip reach of $100 billion. It's huge. Well, with that kind of an increase, and this is just in the U.S., this doesn't include Canada, just in the U.S. So in the United States, absolutely, Americans are getting healthier, aren't they? No. The rate of chronic disease continues to escalate. The rate of cancer is going up. The rate of cardiovascular disease is going up. The rate of inflammatory disorders is going up. The rate of diabetes is going up. And we know this without even knowing the statistics. by looking at drug sales. Okay? The problem's not getting any better. So that would mean that all those supplements that people are taking are wasted money. Even the good stuff that I brought to market didn't turn the tide, didn't put a dent in the rate of chronic disease. And why is that? There's one very important reason. The number one most prescribed drug for a health problem is for digestive problems. The nutrients in the food that we eat and the supplements that we take are not getting into the body's tissues. The number one reason for emergency room visits after accidents is digestive problems. The number one OTC product sold is for digestive problems. So when Steve Kushner and I got together to try and come up with a product that would provide the greatest benefit, we didn't. Victory was not formed to go out and make a lot of money. Victory was formed, and then we would go get products. Our products were created to help people. We had the products on the market for a while, and we wanted to find the best vehicle of how to get the products into the hands of people who really needed them. And the product, I mean, we thought about coming out with a digestive product. And then they would have to take something else to get into the tissues, a good multi. We'd have to nourish the foundation of health. So we figured the best thing to do was come up with a multi-nutrient complex that would get in the first place. And to do that, we had to not rely on the competence of the digestive system, its ability to disintegrate and dissolve nutrients, foodstuffs, supplements. We had to get them into the blood right away. And so we developed the Protovite. Now, on that, let me show you a couple of videos.
Dim the lights? Yeah. Oh, no, it's in the corner, right at the very back.
There we go, that's good. Oh, hold on. Let's get the sound going here. All right, the guy you're getting ready to hear is a top. Oh, yeah, no, we gotta do this. The guy you're getting ready to hear is, I think, one of the top microscope technicians, called a microscopist, that I've ever come across. He's actually a co-author on the study that we're doing, and he's sitting right there, Ted Aloisi. So it's his voice you're going to be hearing.
So this is 5 minutes after consuming an ounce of tap water, bottled water. And there's not really very much difference. There's still sticky cells.
So let's look at what you're seeing here, okay? This is a slide, a sample of red blood cells. Oops, let me turn it on. Okay, these are red blood cells, and they're varying stages of losing hemoglobin, and I'll explain that in a minute a little bit further. Hemoglobin is extremely important because hemoglobin carries oxygen. Oxygen is real important for life. I think we all know that. If anybody doubts that, stop breathing. Let's see how long you live. Okay? Oxygen is really important. Hemoglobin carries oxygen. So when the hemoglobin's gone, your ability to carry and use oxygen is greatly diminished.
Background's the same, immune's the same. So we have not really seen an appreciable difference in the...
All right, the difference that he's talking about...
Just come on, Bob.
The difference that he's talking about is that we actually did a a baseline without anything. Then we waited 5 minutes, gave the subject, or waited a few minutes, gave the subject water, and waited 5 minutes, and this is after taking water. Because I had a scientist say to me, yeah, but if you gave them water, you get the same benefit as the prototype. Great control. Let's give them water and see if we get the same result. Didn't get the same result. This doesn't look any different than the before. All right, this is 5 minutes after taking prototype.
Okay, this is 5 minutes after taking the multivitamin, and you can see the cells were loose, the cell activation is completely gone, and you can see the cells were...
Oh, come on. I have to sit down to do this stuff. This is what happens when you get old.
in the multivitamin.
Okay. Contrary to popular belief, this is not an oatmeal cookie. Okay. Now look at the red blood cells. See how they've reloaded with hemoglobin. So oxygen is the most important thing you need. It is priority number one, restoring the ability to carry and use oxygen. When you take the air out of a tire, it deflates. When you take hemoglobin out of a cell, it deflates. And it becomes rigid and hard and flexible. It can't get through capillaries and sticks together like you saw before. Now it's much more flexible. It's plumped up with hemoglobin. It's carrying oxygen. And when you carry oxygen, you can use water, because oxygen is a molecular component of water. So we're rehydrating. And here's what's important. All your white blood cells are made from your red blood cells. In your the thymus, T cells. The blood circulates through your body one complete time every minute, one revolution every minute, through the thousands of miles of blood vessels. And when it goes through the thymus gland, it makes these guys. And you didn't see those in the previous one. So, poor quality, poor health red blood cells don't make healthy white blood cells. And they're more flexible. They can go through those capillaries. They go through capillaries, a little tiny blood vessels, single file. A lot of good stuff going on.
And you can see the cells were loose, the cell activation is completely gone. The white blood cells also seem about 30% bigger than they were 5 minutes ago. There's a white blood cell right there.
Okay, so let me revisit something here for you. So you're made of food, air, water, and sunshine. You can live without food and sunshine for an extended period of time, but not oxygen and water. You need them both desperately. The function of food and sunshine, in fact, is to enable your body to make the best use of air and water. The quality of life is directly dependent on and proportional to our ability to use oxygen and water. Every chronic degenerative disease, even old age, is associated with the reduced ability to use oxygen and water. So there's a push in the industry. There's companies popping up all over the place about getting alkaline, drinking alkaline water, taking alkaline supplements. I have to eat highly alkaline foods, drink alkaline beverages, and take alkaline supplements to get alkaline. This is an industry obsession. Keep in mind that the body must maintain pH in a healthy range around 7.4 in the blood. It varies in different organs. But in the plasma, it's 7.4. If the blood pH moves more than 3/10 of a point, you're dead. So if it goes below 7.1 or above 7.7, you're dead. And it goes to fanatical lengths to keep you in that range. So similar when you drive a car. You want to go in a straight line? A little left, a little right, a little left, a little right, a little left, a little right to go straight. Just like when you walk. Left, right, to go straight. The same thing is true with pH. Maintaining a healthy pH requires that your body adds a little acid and then a little base, which is alkalinity, to keep your pH balance at 7.4. So little acid, little base, little acid, little base. That's how it keeps the monitor, that's how it maintains. The thing it doesn't do, if you're driving the car and you look somewhere else for a moment and you start to drift to the left, you don't whip the wheel around hard to go back to the right. You just kind of, auto-correct. You go back a little bit to get it back online. The same thing's true of pH. How do we regulate pH in the body? Air and water produce CO2 and bicarbonate, HCO3, that primarily control the pH in the fluids outside the cells. This is regulated by the kidney because the kidney takes off an OH off of bicarbonate and puts on an OH on the CO2 to be a little acid, little base, little acid, little base. So the lungs and the kidneys are the two most important organs for pH. Your lungs regulate oxygen and carbon dioxide. Your kidneys regulate carbon dioxide and bicarbonate. Hemoglobin and minerals primarily control pH inside the cells. Hemoglobin is the pH buffer savings account. Remember the picture you saw of the hemoglobin, that the hemoglobin was gone. So the savings account is being overdrawn because the electrolytes, which are primary, there are other amino acids and things that are also buffers, but electrolytes are your primary pH buffer checking account in the fluids outside the cells. So when your hemoglobin's gone, your minerals are gone. And mineral deficiencies strain buffer incapacities, promote acidosis, and impaired glucose metabolism. And they strain the kidney, the lungs, the pancreas, the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the heart. Because if you can't use oxygen, you can't use water. So you get dehydrated, your blood gets thicker, your heart has to pump a lot harder to push the mud through the blood vessels. Okay? Signs of mineral deficiencies include, and acidosis, by the way, muscle cramps, twitches, tremors, Charlie horses, nighttime leg shakes, or restless leg syndrome, muscle wasting, bone spurs, calcium deposits, kidney stones, osteoporosis, osteopenia, periodontal disease, infections, inflammation, depression, abnormal fat or blood sugar metabolism, nerve numbness, nerve burning, nerve pain, like peripheral neuropathy, etc., etc., etc. Protovite provides the body the resources to manage and maintain pH balance naturally. Okay? So I'm going to go show you a couple more videos here, I think. Show. Oh, you go here. Oops. Give me a sec. Talk amongst yourselves. Anybody got any good jokes? Okay, time's up. All right, so this is the first person that Ted did in the study. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Huh? Isn't that amazing? Wow. Looks kind of like an army of worms in battle. Earthworms, right? So clearly there's a lost ability to carry and use oxygen. This sludge is not moving in the plasma, so it's dehydrated. And if you can't make energy, because you can't use oxygen to burn sugar efficiently, if you can't make energy, you can't take out the garbage. Cellular debris and garbage all around the plasma.
You can see that the red blood cells are sticking together. So this is called a protoplasm, which is
Okay, this giant rock here, right there, is called a protoplast. A protoplast has an interesting function. Remember I said your pH can't go below 7.1. A protoplast is a sponge that your body makes called sequester, to mop up, soak up the acid in the blood so that your blood pH doesn't go below 7.1. So the more protoplasts you have, the more critical your condition is of trying to push down below 7.1 so you die. So this is a self-defense mechanism, but it causes problems. Like it can't go through capillaries, and the blood gets too thick, and it can't go through capillaries, and you get things like spider veins, varicose veins, blood clots, all kinds of other, and high blood pressure, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to listen also in the after. Now, by the way, this before, as you can see, is a whole lot worse than the previous before. Therefore, the after is not going to be as good as the others. Matter of fact, the after in this one's going to look a bit like the before in the other one.
An acid marker, and we're seeing some debris in the background, various types of debris.
So right here, this is the after. This is 5 minutes after taking Protovite. You can see that there's a dramatic improvement. I'm going to play the rest of Ted's comments in a minute. You can see there's a dramatic improvement, but there's still some anemia going on, some hypochromicity, loss of hemoglobin. But this after is about the same as the previous before, because the burden of taking 1 ounce of Protovite was so significant that it couldn't make it perfect in 1 ounce. So it would probably take a little bit more to get it to a level that you're going to see in some other slides.
So this is 5 minutes after taking the supplement, and still a little bit of cell aggregation, but it's way better. The background is also cleaner, and well, we saw 7 or 8 protoplasts in the first sample. I haven't seen a single one yet in this sample, which means the system is becoming alkaline. The body's just working better.
Okay, now let's go look at the 70-year-old woman with osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. This is before and after.
This is a pretty good sample. We seem to have a lot of
Okay.
cell.
For those of you that haven't heard my presentation before, I'm going to teach you a medical term. Very important to understand. There's a very crucial medical term for this. Stop laughing already. Yucky. Okay, this is yucky blood. All right, you can use that with your doctor next time, and it'll be at his level of understanding of what's going on. Or her.
Is this the
Aggregation now. And that's basically the red blood cells have lost their negative charge.
Okay, I just had a question earlier about negative ions. It's lost the negative ionic charge. And again, it looks like a bunch of worms, as you can see here, a bunch of earthworms in a battle. Because the cells are sticking together because the hemoglobin is all gone. So this is an anemic situation.
This will be very interesting. This is a white blood cell right here, neutrophil in particular. And again, about a quarter the size it should be, probably because of the cell aggregation somehow affecting circulation, indirectly or directly affecting immune.
All right, this is 5 minutes after.
Okay, this is 5 minutes after taking the multi, and we've restored the negative.
Please notice that as the cells move from down here to up here, they start filling with hemoglobin right before your eyes. It's not just the spreading apart of the cells, it's their ability, restoring the ability to carry oxygen that is most crucial to life, and restoring the ability to use water, okay? And that's what you see happening. I want you to notice the flexibility. Watch that cell right there. As this cell comes around and sticks to it and then pops off, how flexible they now are, and they weren't before at all.
Charge the red blood cells with very loose, free-flowing. There's 2 neutrophils, one in the top left corner, one in the bottom right corner, and you can see that the neutrophils are 4 times bigger. It's been 5 minutes. So to me, that's absolutely amazing. And I've been doing this for 14 years. I've done over 40,000 sessions. I've never seen a product that changes the blood. I've certainly seen it changing in 3-4 months, but not 5 minutes. So there's definitely something amazing going on here. And again, the white blood cells are 4
See them
times as
pumping
big.
up?
The red blood cells are loose and free-flowing. Almost looks like somebody totally different blood.
Okay, I need to point out that this was the 6th person that Ted did in the study. And at number 6, his comments, the reason I used this particular slide, which is available on the internet under livebloodcellvideo.com, you can show anybody this. The reason I used it was because he made that comment. So stunning were the results that he had been seeing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now 6. he made those comments. I've been doing this for 14 years. I've done over 40,000 sessions. This is amazing stuff. And that's how stunning it was. Okay, I'll give you one more. So again, this is available on the internet. It's available on our website. It's available on your business cards for people who have a Victory Nutrition business card.
Is that YouTube? On YouTube?
Yes.
This is a YouTube, yes. This is a YouTube. Okay? But on the back of the business card, there's a QR code. And if you have a smartphone, you can take a picture of that QR code and it'll run that video right there, before and after, as one. Okay? So the last one I'll show you is an 82-year-old man with bladder cancer.
This sample is a high king sac rate, which indicates that the liver is stressed.
This is beyond anemia. Every cell, every red blood cell in this shot is dead. There's not one viable cell in this sample. Remember, red blood cells make white blood cells. There's not one white blood cell anywhere in this entire sample. Dead red blood cells don't make white blood cells. This is basically a stagnant pond with rotting fish. So this guy's being poisoned to death by the rot of his own dead red blood cells.
Cell aggregation.
See the carcasses? Just bits and pieces of dead red blood cells. Looks like somebody took a machine gun and shot it. Okay? All right, let's look at 5 minutes after.
This is 5 minutes after.
Well, let me say that that was a very heavy load. That was heavier than the second one you saw. It was really bad. This is a very heavy burden. We already now, in this sample, see white blood cells. There's one, there's one, there's one. There's some other ones right there too. There's one right there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, right there, just in that one shot. So now white blood cells are coming in and the red blood cells are
EMT.
improving.
And the cell aggregation is reduced. There's still cell aggregation, but it is reduced. The quality of the cells has improved substantially. Very few phenocytes, very few podocytes. There's a vibrance to the red blood cells that wasn't there 5 minutes ago.
And this is 30 minutes after.
So this is 30 minutes after taking the BMP, 35.
82-year-old man with bladder cancer. Okay? Notice how the cells are plumped up again. They're carrying life, oxygen. Okay? He can use water again. He's rehydrating. What causes cancer? An inability to use oxygen, an inability to use water, which changes the context. Killing cancer cells to cure cancer is like killing mosquitoes to clean up a stagnant pond. You gotta clean up the pond and don't attract the mosquitoes.